Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the Deuce, Season 1, Episode 3. It is called The Principle Is All. Full spoilers for the episode as always. First of all, apologies, this is a day later than usual. That was just kind of an unfortunate side effect of Connor being kind of, not quite away, but busy for the weekend, so we couldn't do anything. And then last night we had time for one thing, and unfortunately that meant no time for this, but typically it'll be back on its regular day from here on out. But yeah, so this is episode 3. This is kind of, I would say this mostly moved along everything we've already kind of set up in the previous two episodes.
Definitely.
I felt like everything kind of nudged forward a bit. Biggest thing being the bar being open. We did get one or two new characters introduced, who I think to varying extents will become either small or large players in some capacity. So we'll do what we did the last couple of weeks. We'll just take it kind of character by character plot, because that's typically how it breaks up. Obviously some of them intertwine a bit, but
Yeah, they're getting a bit closer. Feels like it's going to be only a matter of time before we're not able to do this so much.
well, that's the thing, because the episode kind of ends. The bar opens, the new bar, the high top, I think it was hi hat, the hi hat bar. Do you remember the name? You can't remember the name.
No.
No, I think it was the hi hat. They never said it out loud, I don't think. I remember seeing the sign, and I just like, oh, it's a hi hat, right? So the bar opens towards the end of the episode, and it's kind of I thought it had this kind of not weird, but almost a safe haven kind of feel to it. Like everyone kind of came there, and it was like, oh, this is okay. This is a way. The street's dangerous, but in here things are more safe. Now I know that's maybe a weird thing to say, given one of the things that almost happens in the bar. I'm not forgetting that. But the fact that that itself is diffused and doesn't happen, it's like, no, this place is kind of, we keep this safe. This is a little place where we can all go, all the characters
Yeah.
can. I see the cops coming in probably later on as well. They weren't here in this scene, but I can see them coming in here and getting a drink. You know, we had regular people, we had the pimps and the prostitutes, we had mobsters, we had, all
Yeah, a
different.
bit of everyone.
Even some of the old gay clientele were back. Like, there was a whole entourage of people. And this is the thing, is Vincent was kind of making it all work. He was making everyone kind of feel welcome and friendly, and Rudy pops in for a minute and even watches as he sort of like gives a couple of people some free drinks. And you almost think he's going to get up like, hey, wait a minute, should you be giving out free drinks here? I've got an investment in this place. But no, he's like, no, he's doing his job. This is what he
Nah,
got him for.
He gets it. You
Yeah.
give him some free things, form a relationship, and keep him around.
Keep them happy. Yeah, he's, especially on opening night. You want to keep,
Exactly.
let people come
You make
back.
a big deal of it.
Because it didn't start off so great. They had that nice big long wide shot of everyone who was there to be a waiter or waitress, and them all just sitting around doing nothing that it was meant to
Yeah.
be open. But sure
And
enough,
then you have the one guy come in.
you open? Yeah. Pick a waiter. Have your pick.
Pretty much.
But no, so very, very happy in that sense. So I guess we'll stay with Vincent and Frankie, since that kind of leans into them more than anyone else. So they're basically just getting the place ready to open up. However, Frankie has a couple of incidents along the way.
As is to be expected.
And I think it's a good sign of the character writing at this point is, so that this big guy comes in, and I'll admit I was a little bit confused at first, because I thought all the machines, the jukebox and the pool table and whatnot, I thought those were already belonging to Rudy, because remember Rudy's whole thing is that was a big, he was going to take that was a big part of his investment, is that he was going to get all the profits from those. That's what he was excited about.
Yeah.
Now it became clear as the episode went on, well, this wasn't his machines yet, he was going to put his own in, and that's, what was there
Yeah.
by the end of the episode. But this big guy comes in and he's like, oh, these are my machines, you're cutting me out, I'm your partner, basically. He's trying to force his way in, saying, no, you don't know who you're messing with, this is my thing. And clearly Frankie, and we've kind of seen, the fact that he's been in trouble with so many mobsters and, loan sharks and gambling debt and all the rest of it, we kind of quickly see why he is the way he is, or why he gets into so much trouble, because he very quickly is like, oh, no, you don't come in here and threaten us, and he just starts, wrecking all the machines. This is actually after he's already stole all the money out of them. He took a crowbar, because he lost all his money in the poker game, and he's like, no, I'll just jimmy these open a little bit. Which is where I was a little bit confused, because I thought, oh, is Rudy going to be pissed about this? But then Vincent didn't seem, I mean, he was, if anything, he was impressed that he thought of this.
Yeah, he was like, you lucky bastard.
Yeah, that was kind of his reaction. But no, so he comes in here and he makes these threats, and Frankie does this and just outright pisses him off. And Rudy kind of sorts it out. Rudy goes to see these other guys who are involved, and he takes Vincent, and we don't really see that conversation take place.
I don't really need to, though.
No, we don't. We see kind of the build up to it. We see Vincent going there, being told,
Yeah.
being treated like scum, basically. Go and sit over there. Don't stand here like an idiot. And then don't sit over there like an idiot. Come over here, and that's kind of all we see of it. Maybe showing again just how much of a small fish he is. Because I think
he's new to this.
Yeah, last week I think we said Rudy's kind of his pimp, but it's kind of like that. It's like these are the other pimps, and they're treating him like one of the girls. That's kind of like how it feels in that scene. But of course, the reason why I'm putting so much effort into explaining all this is because this big guy with the beard shows up on opening night, tries to pick more of a fight, and Vincent, in his way, again, he tries to kind of just smooth it over. Hey, I'll give you a drink.
Have a drink.
Yeah, he's trying to be friendly with them and try and make it. It's like, yeah, I know it sucks for you, but like, I never made a deal with you. Like, I made a deal with these other guys who owned the place. Like, just because you had a deal with who previously owned the place doesn't really have any bearing on me. Like, why should it?
Yeah.
But he's trying to be friendly. He's trying to offer him a drink, and this is when actually our new character Mike, who I recognised immediately as soon as I seen him from Quarry. I can't remember his character's name from Quarry because I've forgotten all the character names from Quarry outside of Quarry because it's been a while now. But he was good in that. He was like a kind of not hitman per se, but he worked for a mob boss kind of thing. And he did sort of reconnaissance jobs and occasionally hits. But he's introduced here, and he actually Vincent's doing his sweet talking thing down the other end of the bar, and this guy with the beard pulls out a gun, and Mike like bursts into action and like de-arms him. And like throws the gun back down at the bar. Because I think what I like about this is that we can tell that's who pulled out the gun, but from Vincent's point of view, you can tell it's actually a lot more muddy than that. He's not actually sure who pulled out the gun and who's.
It's very corner of the eye. There's a gun. Now it's sliding down the table. What just happened?
Yeah, you hear one gunshot. It hits like the mirror or whatever behind the bar, and it slides down. And he gets the sense of who was the one doing the protecting and who the one was doing the violence. But
yeah, a little bit, context and. Oh, hang on, this guy's not happy with me. Maybe it was him with the gun.
Exactly. That's why at the end, because he seems to offer him a job. It feels like he's offering him a bouncer job.
That was what I got as well.
But at the end, when like he's walking out and he's saying, "Hey, like I'll see you tonight," and or before that when he goes out to see him when he's trying to leave and offers him the gig, he says, "So that wasn't your gun then?" He's like, "No, of course it wasn't." Like he knew, but he was asking anyway. It was kind of like just
to confirm things.
It was more like he knows, but he wants him to know by asking, if that makes sense. Like the fact that he's even asking is him letting him know that he knows.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just not saying what he thinks. It's actually like he has to dress it up and
I
casual speak, I guess. But I think obviously the extra layer to this though is we already seen him in this episode. Mike, we already seen earlier on. We've seen him getting some drugs off of a drug dealer.
I really like that the drug dealer rhymes.
Did you like that?
I did. He was like, "Yeah, what do you want?" I got weed. I got speed. He did this whole little prepared rhyme. It was pretty good.
He takes his job seriously.
He does.
I think that's what that is. But so he ends up getting like really hopped up and whatever it is, like sort of paranoid and freaked out, and he's very intimidated. He's a big guy, he's a big like 6'5" guy or whatever he is, and very intimidated. He's got the guy in a chokehold, and he kind of like talks his way out of it and runs off. And at first that seems very random. It's like, okay, we've never seen this character before. Who is this guy? And then the next time we see him, he interacts with Candy. Like he just like she's arguing with some other guy in a car. It's like, oh, you want $10? What? No, what am I like? The discount store, right? Drives off and she turns around, she sees him, and she's like, oh, another prospective client, and she makes the proposition as she does. But once she gets close and once he looks back at her and she sees his eyes, he looks dangerous, he looks intimidating. So she actually backs away slowly and even crosses the street to get away from him. And I actually really liked this scene, and it was actually quite surprising where it went with Mike for the rest of the episode, because at this point I'm like, man, are they really going down
like
this?
A threat, doesn't he?
I was like, obviously we're going to talk about how dangerous the streets are. We've talked a lot since the show started about, it seems all this like not glamorous necessarily, but good on the surface. Like there's a lot of reasons why this is a nice life or a nice style on the surface, but there's all this undercurrent of danger from the pimps and stuff like that. But then there's this other layer where no, there could just be someone dangerous on the street. And I think for Candy's character, it also is like, this is another reason why she wants out of this. It's not just that what she's doing is illegal or that it's demoralizing or whatever. Or it's this as well. There's a danger to it.
Yeah, and obviously that's backed up by the other guy who gets presumably killed on the street.
Yeah. She sees someone else get stabbed later in the episode. Again, very random.
Everyone just walks off and leaves him.
Yeah, she stays the longest. She lingers a little bit longer. She's kind of taking it in, but then she, just like everyone else, just walks on off into the night. But so yeah, going back to Mike. So I'm thinking, all right, so are we going to go down this? Or there's someone out there who might start killing the prostitutes? Because I presume we're going to have to do this at some point. There's going to be someone that dangerous out there.
Yeah,
it still could be him in a weird way, because I think that's what makes this scene in the bar later on, and just the fact that he's offered this recurring gig, this job, where that's where he'll be, and it's like he's earned Vincent's trust, but we already know that he's not stable.
Necessarily, yeah, stable was the word I was going to say there.
Exactly. We've seen that he, like, can they recognise in him that he is maybe dangerous, intentionally or not? But it's
But alternatively, does this job give him a focus and outlet so that he isn't then, because he has somewhere to direct all this?
Maybe I don't know, but I think that they've definitely made a choice in showing us this first, and saying this is your first glimpse of this person, is him being paranoid high and that dangerous look in his face and scaring Candy that much. Like, they made a choice by saying this is what he is before we get the scene where. So because if we didn't have that, if we had just got the scene where he was in the bar and he helped, he protected Vincent and then he got offered the job, it'd be like, oh, he seems like a little bit quiet and mysterious, seems like
but a stand-up dude.
Yeah, whereas there's this undercurrent now because of what we've seen, and it just adds this layer to it, which I
do think it's interesting that they went that way around, in the sense that we're talking about the show as a whole being this lifestyle seems glamorous and then goes underneath, whereas here it did it the other way around. It showed us the underbelly first and then showed us what is kind of the public persona.
Do you know what I think that is, though? I think that's more from Vincent's perspective. Because for Vincent's perspective right now, everything's great. He's again, comparing him to being a prostitute and Rudy being the pimp. The bar right now is like, oh, this is great, life is on top, and this is the glamour of what I was promised and what I was sold. But it's things like finding out your new bouncer is actually this dangerous guy, realising that one small thing goes wrong, and then Rudy's maybe not as friendly as he was, and like all these things, like the undercurrents there, and I feel like it's adding, it's piling on all the things that might go wrong for him down the line. Because the way I was thinking about it as I was watching it is that, especially when we bring in the brother-in-law, we bring in Bobby, and what happens with him in this episode, it really feels like, man, they're on thin ice. As much as everything seems great, and it's great to be working slightly outside the law for all these extra benefits, one thing goes wrong and it could all tumbling down,
Yeah, domino effect sort of thing.
If I can say that sentence properly, that is. But yeah, so Bobby, we see him stressing out at his work and having to climb stairs, and we can see that he's very unfit. Admittedly, though, I feel like there was no time in my life I could climb that many stairs and be...
Stairs are a bitch.
Stairs are. Going downstairs is great. Down's fantastic. Up's a pain in the ass.
There was a time I could run 5 miles, no problem, but then I'd have to climb 12 flights of stairs to get to my where I was living, and it's just nope, not doing it. I'm dead now.
Nah, 12. I think once you're over 3 or 4, it's like, okay, now what? I'll wait for the elevator. It's fine.
Yeah, the building I was in, the lowest apartments were on the 5th floor.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was, that was a bitch.
Yeah, nah. So, but we see that very well, and it's bringing in some sort of just some of the sort of the context of the world right now in the time, because he's given some guy that's working for him. Remember, he's a contractor, and one of these workers is causing sort of disruptions with the other crewmen because he's given all of his opinions of why America shouldn't be in the Vietnam War and all this, and he's criticising the president and so on and so forth, and that's causing conflict. And he's like, can you just keep your mouth shut? You're opinionated, right? Fine, but you're just causing trouble at work. Just
do you know what else is the biggest? The other thing that sticks out as, this is a different time.
Oh sure, yeah.
Everyone's smoking indoors.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's brought up repeatedly in this episode.
Yeah.
Which is especially funny because Abby is bothered by it, but then she goes outside and starts smoking immediately. It's like, well,
Well, she wasn't bothered by it. She just didn't like the office. She's like, "Nah, I don't want to work here. I want an excuse."
I know, but it made a whole point of her like sort of going like that and thinking it
Yeah.
away. It did seem like it was a factor, but then she went out and started. And
Yeah, see, when it played like that, I just assumed it was a joke, like, and she was just putting it on to get out of
no,
there.
to be fair, like I sort of laughed at it as a punchline as well, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, is there almost like a little bit of hypocrisy here that we're kind of pointing out?
No, I see what you're saying.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but so yeah, he has a heart attack basically is what we're getting to.
Yeah.
And you can almost see it coming. It was almost like a joke in and of itself, the punchline, because he's like, "No, that's not how you lift a box, you college-educated little shit. This is how you do it. You crouch."
Squat.
Squat. Sorry. Same
Yeah,
difference.
tell you don't lift.
Do you even lift, bro? No, not really.
Shows.
Yeah. But whatever. So honestly, I probably lift like the other guy tried to be honest. Whenever I do.
Oh God. Yeah, you would kill your back.
Well, it depends how heavy it is.
No, no, seriously, people, do not lift like that. No matter how heavy, you will hurt your back.
Whatever. My back's screwed anyway. It's fine. What was I getting to? Oh yeah, heart attack.
Punchline.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, this is how you do it, and then he has a heart attack when he tries. So it's kind of funny,
Yeah,
just in a sort of dark kind of way. But he goes to hospital, and again, everyone's smoking in the hospital, and he's okay. But I was just thinking, man, like if he dies, like their whole deal with the paychecks, like because he was the one who had access to the payroll, like does that come crumbling down? What does that do?
Although alternatively, I'm wondering, will it matter that much if that does stop? Like by the time that ends, will the bar be up and running, making enough money that Rudy will be like, "Oh, it's fine. Okay, we've got this. This is the focus. That was just an entryway."
Oh, no, that's fair. That's fair. But still, something else to keep in mind. So yeah, we'll jump over to Candy because Candy again very much down the path that she was on last episode, where she's asking questions about the porn industry. How is it working right now? What are the rules? What can you do? What can't you do? And she's taken to this recording of the filming of a porn shoot. Except we find out that it's not actually got any film in the camera. It's presented as a shooting of a pornographic film, but it's actually just a live show for the people who pay to get in and see it. And you can see her eyes light up because this is all explained to her. They're watching it, and the director's yelling out some directions to the actors. You know, smack her. You know, say your line. What was it? The plumber's laying his pipe.
That was it.
Yeah. Plumber's laying. No, more emotion. The plumber's laying his pipe. That's more like it. So, but you can see her eyes light up as she realizes, oh, they're charging $40 a head for all, and she's looking around the room, and it's like, oh, there's like 60 people in here. Like that's a lot of money, and all they're doing is watching. Like, I usually have to do things.
Yeah, they're not even. Nothing is getting done with them. They're just standing there.
Yeah. So even though she's like, okay, you only pay once, but you could potentially, she can see
It's a good paycheck for just once.
Yeah, the multiplication of like what you could do with it, and the fact that most of these people aren't even getting near you, and especially since it feels like the conversation she has later with this guy who is directing this charade, Harvey, is very much like she doesn't necessarily want to be the one performing. She's actually looking at more as I want to be the one making this and doing it.
She wants to be the director raking in the 40 a head. Yeah,
because he says, oh yeah, if you come and do a show, if you're the actress, I'll pay you 10 a head, which. And she criticises that, and I'm like, no, I mean, if you sort of divvy it up between all the people involved, because there's the other actor on the scene for a start, and then you've got him who's set it all up.
I was going to say, 20 for him, 10 for the two actors.
No, but also, what about the location? Probably to rent the.
Well, yeah, but that would you'd assume that would come out of the director's share, like he'd account for all that.
But I'm just saying, like, if you actually divvy it up, that's probably.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable, and he points out, it's like, hey, that's like $600 for an hour and a half. That's pretty good pay.
Yeah, but she's not like super sold on that. But she's still interested, and she asks these other questions. She's like, oh yeah, we can't show this and that, but they can do that elsewhere. Like, other countries can show that. Surely it's not that long till we can do that here. and we can do that kind of thing. And she's kind of predicting that they can. And again, maybe it shows that she is a bit more of a forward thinker. She's kind of, and it's not even just like a hope. You can get the sense that she's really thought about it, and that this is going to happen at some point.
It's like she says, it's like, okay, this is America. They're doing it there. It's only a matter of time till we see the market and do it ourselves.
Yeah. So again, just all this. By the way, the guy she's talking to, Harvey, it's not, but I was referring to him in my head the entire time as chubby Jake Johnson, because he looked and sounded like him.
He did, and there was a second, when you first see him, where you do a double take.
Yeah, he looks like a chubby Jake Johnson. He even sounds like him, which is the crazy part. He's got a very similar voice, but it's not. But it was just again, it's just, after last episode when the Karate Kid made an appearance, like I'm keeping my
eyes peeled. Now. Anyone could be here.
Yeah, anyone could be showing up, but. So her stuff was progressing nicely with that, but obviously the stuff with her later was all the reasons to get out of what she's doing. Now it's like the danger of the streets, and she wants to transition to I want to be doing something that's a little bit safer and is potentially going to make a lot more money. It's actually more of a business than it is just me doing something once per exchange of money.
Yeah, and like she says, she wants the skills regardless, because even if this doesn't take off as an industry in this country, she's like, I can still use those skills elsewhere. They're transferable. Oh,
sure, yeah. She says she'll go and work for Disney, which,
ambitious.
It's a funny one to pick right off the bat, going straight from the porn to the Disney. But hey, why not? It can happen. So that was pretty much Candy stuff. Abby had a lot more to do this episode. Abby, last episode we just kind of seen that she quit college. She sort of went to live on her own and she was going to look for a job. Here we actually got the job search. We had the whole interview where everyone was smoking and she was kind of against it, and she had no experience for the job anyway. She ends up at a sort of telemarketer kind of job where she's on the phone all day trying to sell stuff to people, and it's pretty soul destroying. And
it's pretty much like every telemarketing scene you've ever watched.
Yeah, well, they just look miserable, and the person on the phone's awful to them, which, to be fair, I don't blame the person on the phone for being awful to them, because it's really annoying.
Well, I think that's always the great thing about these scenes. You're in the character on the phone scene here. You're in their head. And even they know. It's like, yeah, no one wants to be bothered by this shit. Yeah. I've just got to do it.
No one does, but... She kind of flirts a little bit with this guy who's also working there, who's also hating it. They end up... She quits. She makes a big scene of it. She kind of the supervisor's up in the sort of balcony looking down at them all. And she throws her papers up in there, and it's like this big scene of it because she's making a dramatic exit. But they end up having a bit of a one-night stand. And he's a bit of a dickhead and steals all of the money she had. So she's completely broke now. She had a little bit of money from her mother from before. Yep. Now she has nothing. And this is where she actually goes to try and find Vincent. This is where she's like getting the idea, where can I get some work? And she actually goes to the old place first, and then gets directed to the new place. And at first she is like, all I've got is the waitressing jobs with the skimpy outfits. That's all that's there. She's not for it. She leaves, but she immediately walks back in because
she's like, God damn it, fine.
Yeah, she has no options at this point. She's trying to be above that line where she's got this line for herself where she doesn't want to sink below, but she's on the way out maybe realizes, okay, I'm at that point because this is how bad things are right now. And I think she's a very interesting addition to this, because going back to all these scenes at the end when again it's most of the characters are there because we've got some of the prostitutes and the pimps coming in. Abby's there, who's been very separate from all this outside of her interaction with Vincent from before. And she's she talks to Darlene. She talks about the book. She's which, by the way, one of our commenters guessed the book exactly because it was the movie. It was the movie she was watching with the guy in the previous episode, and someone said, "Oh, I bet she's reading the book," because the guy mentioned there was a book first. Nicely done.
Kudos.
But Abby notices the book, and she sort of exchanges some words with her, which really upsets Larry. Larry's watching from afar, and he's like, "What's going on here?" She's making friends,
and I like that this completely makes sense because obviously Abby was English literature. Yeah. That's what she was studying. So of course she's going to go over and see the book and go, oh, here's someone who is on my level, so to speak. It's a common interest.
Yeah, and I think Larry fears that because if Darlene realizes that's where she is and where she fits in, that she's going to start wanting to not be a part of this world anymore. Yeah. She's going to want something better for herself, and You can kind of see that fear on his face. So it's not even just the reporter, who we do see is talking to someone else in this episode. She goes to a different prostitute and pays her for her time and gets some information. And that was basically all that scene was. It was just to show that this is still an ongoing thing. And I'm sure that'll become more relevant later. But this scene here was just Larry's fear. Like, it wasn't just because, because at least with a reporter you could say, oh, he's worried about what they might print. Like, because what they're doing is not exactly illegal. So...
Right, it's one of those things where, okay, I get why he's concerned about that. You never know where this investigation could go for him.
Yeah.
Personally.
But seeing this and seeing his fear here, it's like, no, this is a concern that she's going to start thinking she's bigger than what he thinks she is. And if she is bigger than what he thinks she is, that's kind of the point, is that...
Yeah, he knows that as well, but that's kind of the whole thing with these pimps, where they know that they're intentionally keeping them down, and they're doing it because they can.
And that's the thing. It's almost a commentary on just kind of the world in general, is the idea of, like, women not being given equal jobs and equal pay and equal... it's like... you could go into a lot of political talk about that kind of side of things, and I think the show is kind of commenting on that. So prostitution is almost a microcosm of that, of like men keeping themselves in power and like playing down the power of the female side of the planet. But I think here you can really see it. In earlier scenes with Darlene in this episode, we see she's with the old guy again, and she's watching another movie and she falls asleep, and she wakes up and he's pissed again that she's been so late. He's actually went home and came back out with the car.
Yeah.
And he's so pissed. And she comes up and she actually, and we see, and this is the thing, she's become maybe the most likeable character in the entire show. Certainly the one we sympathise with probably the most, because the old man's asleep and she goes to his wallet and she takes the exact amount she's owed for one session and no more.
That's it. And like you can see it, she looks at the rest of it and then just puts it back.
She puts it back in. And when she goes to Larry, he's like, what, you didn't get any extra for this? And she's like, well, no, because I owed him for getting double last time. She stayed true to her word. She never took it, even though she could have justified it to herself. Like, oh, I've been here all night. Like,
yeah, she could have taken the whole lot, and, like, she could have done.
She could have done, but she didn't. And this is the thing. I think it shows strength of character as well. When she sits in front of Larry, she says, right, let's do this. I know what you need to do. Just do it. I messed up. Let's get it done. That's what she says, and he doesn't actually do it. And I think it is almost like she's too strong. Like, it almost means nothing if she's just willing to take it.
Yeah, it's this idea. If it's got no power. If it's not a threat anymore. It's just this is just the part of the day. Then what's the point?
And it almost makes him feel weak, and that's why he drops his glasses and he says, "Pick them up." He wants to make himself feel better, so he makes her do that in front of him and to feel powerful again. But honestly, he's scared. He's terrified. That she is realising that she is too strong for this and she will abandon him. I think, and I'm a little bit worried where this is going to go, because I think there's two outcomes of this story, right? One outcome is that it'll be really uplifting because she will break away and she will eventually get out into something else, and she will, we'll see her become a sort of more well-refined person. The other side of this is that she'll try to do that and it will end in a very dark way for her. And it might be It could be the most soul-destroying thing that could happen in the show.
And do you know what the worst part is? I feel like it's more likely to go that way.
It is. I have hope, but I am definitely concerned.
I'm already preparing myself for the worst.
But like I say, she is kind of the most likeable one.
Which is why I think it will go the dark way. Because it's like, okay, she's the one you like. That's the one that hurts.
Yeah, and that's not to say that Vincent's somewhat likeable, as is Candy. She's pretty likeable, but Darlene's, oddly seems like the most innocent, because she's not even... Because both of those characters... Vincent's not a perfect person, Candy's not a perfect person.
Do you know what I think it is? I think the other two, they're both business motivated. Whereas she's not. She's not doing this... Because, like, again, she could have taken extra money, but she's not about that. She's not there for just getting money.
Okay, so we have... who do we have left here? So Rudy had some extra stuff in this episode. He went to see a lawyer... and they seem to be setting something up. They're looking at maps, they're looking at sort of buildings and districts and streets and things, and they also get to see their boss as well, sort of higher up the food chain, who approves said deal to go through. So obviously getting this bar in this location seems to be part of this, I would say.
And when they were looking at the plans, they mentioned the Deuce, which obviously we know is the theatre, so maybe something to do with that. Maybe that's where the showing of the porn comes into it.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But it seems like they really want to take over a couple of blocks here and kind of
Yeah.
do something with them. And I definitely think this is related to. It's only one small scene actually, but the police officers we've had are regular characters there. They're basically told, yeah, these few streets are off limits now for your regular arrests. Like, yeah,
Yeah, unless it's really bad.
yeah, if you see something like someone's been murdered, sure, step in and do your thing. But basically, what they're saying is, you do not pick up drug dealers and prostitutes from these streets. That's basically what they've been told. And they're like, wait, why? Like, who? Because the guy clearly says this is not official. It's not going to be on any of the forms or documents or the roll call at the start of the night or anything like that. But it's for real, and you can say, okay, and they know what this means. They know that this means someone's paying someone off for them not to do something. They're they're not idiots. They know that's what it is. But they're like, but who is doing this? Like, why? Like, did the pimps like all have a whip round and like chip in to do this? Like, it doesn't make sense. And that's why you know it's higher up the food chain. You know it's more likely linked to Rudy and that side of things. So
Yeah, makes sense.
so that's some interesting stuff going down the path for later on.
I do wonder on the reasons. I mean, one possible reason I'm wondering is, leave it so that the area seems worse, crime gets out of hand, drives down the value so that they won't just buy it all cheap.
Yeah, maybe because we've talked a lot about. Well, not talked a lot about, but it's definitely been mentioned in the previous episodes. There's been comments from characters about the state of the neighborhoods. I remember
Rudy himself mentioned it.
Yeah, Rudy and Vincent talking about it, and I think that's definitely playing a factor here. Like, either they want to clear up another area, so they're going to make this area look worse, or they're going to run down the area they want to control, so it's cheap enough to buy everything. Kind of thing.
Buy it all and then make it better from there.
Yeah, so no, but certainly there's a long game being played
definitely.
here. I think, is that all the characters? Have I missed any of the main plots? Just before I go into my wrap up points that I want to make. I don't think so, but it's bouncing around so many characters. I worry that I'm just forgetting one.
It's hard to keep track when they don't necessarily all link together.
Yeah, I think I have though. I think I have. So I want to just talk a little bit about the end, because it ends with this sort of the morning after. They're all finishing their first late shift at the bar, and they're all sort of coming out, and Vincent's kind of like saying thanks to all of them as they're leaving. To Mike, his new bouncer, to the other guys who work there. They get the guy who was already a bartender, who still seems to be a regular bartender there, who's working there. Yeah. Everyone's like, and it's just after dawn. It's that kind of early morning kind of glow to it. And he has this little interaction with Abby. He's like, oh, do you want to get breakfast? And she's like, oh, I'll take a rain check. And they exchange a little sort of joke back and forth. He's like, oh, no, I'll give you the rain check. Doesn't make sense, does it? And then she walks off, but she looks over her shoulder, and he sort of stares at her. She walks off. And it's like, okay, right, so we're starting this relationship here. And like I was saying earlier, actually, about her being there and interacting, because we talked about her and Darlene, but just her, like, at one point, Cece tries to talk to her. Which actually we've not spoken about, actually. Cece and Laurie. Not talked about them. Wasn't a big thing, but we'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah.
But he tries to almost start his pitch with her, and she's just like, yeah.
She's not having any of it.
Yeah, please. But again, it's nice to see her interact with those characters, and how, because so far we've only seen Cece interact with people who would go for the pitch, or would listen to him, or would entertain him.
Yeah. And just on that, I noticed again, Abby mentioned when she came in, she was talking about an accounting job. She's working the books. I think that's more like where she's going to go once it gets into the porn stuff. She's going to get onto that side of things.
Yeah, I think that's what she wanted. I mean, if Vincent is even the one who goes into the porn side of things, because right now it feels like...
No, that's true.
It seems, going the other way. Because I do think, even though the title is the title of the theatre, I do think there's going to be a double meaning somewhere.
Yeah.
Because obviously it means two. It means, I'm thinking like a two birds, one stone kind of thing at some point.
Sure. Makes sense.
What the double meaning of the title will be, but we'll see. But just this final moment is, Vincent stares off, and then he walks down the street, and the camera starts to come up, and it's like, I really felt like this was the end of Act 1 of the season. This was where it kind of set everything up. We have the bar up and running. It really kind of felt like, okay, a lot of the characters have interacted. Connor sneezing. And it really felt like this sort of ending to a 3-episode kind of setup arc. That's what it really felt like.
No, it did. It kind of feels like, okay, everyone's together now. Like you mentioned back at the start how the bar feels like this is home ground.
Yeah.
And it feels like, okay, now we have our base. Everything's together at the start. This is it. We can move on from here now. This is where things move out again.
And I think that's smart. I think, we've got 8 episodes, 3 to set up, and then does that mean, 2 middle or 2 at the end with 3 in the middle, whatever. But like, if we were going to split it into like a sort of 3-act structure of the season, this definitely feels like the end of Act 1.
Yes.
This is kind of, we've set up the status quo. This is what it is. So yeah, to piggyback a little bit to CC and Laurie, not a whole bunch, but that said, the title of the episode does come from her section of the episode, which is she's basically doing the cheaper the cheaper option, which is the $30 blowjobs in the tunnel between Jersey. That's what's happening. And she's going back and forth, and she has this interaction with this guy who she haggled up the price. She justified her price because of the how much the round trip would take. But then he's upset when they get to the other end, and she just gets out there. It's like, no, you're working both ends. Like, why does the trip matter? Because you're just going back and forth. And she's like, no, but the back the way is busier. And she's like, well, why not charge the other guy then? The guy who's going back that way.
And she's like, clearly, she's like, yeah, I will. I'll do you both.
Yeah. And he's like, it's the principle that matters, though. That's the point. It's the principle. It's again, it's one of these things we talked a lot about last week. How when the girls were arguing about royalties, or they didn't use that word obviously, but we said that's essentially what they were talking about. It's kind of like, oh, this is a really mundane. Like, you expect this in like a restaurant when they've overcharged for something that you didn't quite ask for.
Yeah.
And even though it was technically on the table, you're like, no, it's the principle of the matter. I did not order that. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels that mundane, but it happens to be a conversation with a prostitute.
Yes.
And again,
this is what it is, because the guy's kind of in the right. It's like, yeah, this should have cost 20. It always costs 20, and you justified 30, but the reason for justifying it doesn't really apply to me. So, should have been 20, but at the same time, it's like, well, you agreed on the price, tough shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's sketchy because she sort of justifies it to him. If she just said, well, I charged 30, then it's up to him at that point. Does he accept 30 is the price and take the offer?
Yeah, but it's the way that she blames the trip back is going to take longer for the extra.
But I just think it's interesting how it becomes this almost mundane discussion about such a non-mundane thing.
Yeah, and it's the way she's like, I just had your dick in my mouth. You're really going to complain about $10?
I'm going to edit that bit out and just...
No, of course.
Use it. I'll send it out as a ringtone if people want to use that.
I'm sure there's plenty of things that people can take for what you've said.
Probably.
Go watch the comics podcast. The amount of times that you say something that is just perfect for cutting out.
Sure, but that one just stuck out to me more than any. And I feel like this will happen a lot in this show because we're quoting prostitutes. There's bound to be a lot of things.
There's no way around it, is there?
There's going to be a lot of sentences that just sound really weird out of context. But of course, the other big thing here is that she comes back and Cece kind of like, why are you doing this whole tunnel thing? Like, you are better than this. You can make more money. You can get regulars. And it's basically all boils down. She's scared to like go into rooms alone with these guys after what happened in the last episode. She's still shaken by it. And he's trying to like convince her, no, this is not. And again, it's that kind of thing where he's being very nice about it. This is the best thing for you, but you can kind of tell if you don't, I'm going to cut you. Like that's under the subtext.
Pretty much, but she doesn't quite get that yet.
Probably not yet, no. But certainly it feels like it's driving that way. So,
yeah.
But no, so that was everyone, right? Not missed anyone now.
I'm pretty sure we got everyone now.
Yeah, there we go. Good. That was episode 3 of the Deuce.
Yeah. I did notice this one was actually directed by Franco as well.
I did notice that as well.
And I was like, damn, this guy is so heavily involved in this show. But
2 characters.
2 characters and directing.
How do you direct a scene with yourself as 2 characters in it? That is so weird. It's basically, at that point you're like obviously there's some lighting people and you've got a DP on set, but you're basically doing all this stuff in the scene yourself. You're directing, you're doing all the parts.
And I'd say 2/3 of when he was on screen, it was both of them together were there.
Yeah.
In this episode.
Oh man. You've got to trust some of the crew to keep you right on a lot of things there, I would imagine.
But I actually thought a lot of the direction in this was really nice. There's the shot in the bar where it pans over really nicely between them.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the shot at the end. It felt very climactic, like it was the end of this first act of the show.
Yeah.
And it really felt that way. I think it did a good job. And I've never I've never known him to direct things. I'm sure he has probably done some episodes and stuff
Yeah,
before.
that's
But
why I thought I'd bring it up because I was like, okay, he's clearly very invested in this show,
yeah,
and it stood out as actually being quite good.
and so's Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal's a producer, like not an executive. She's a producer.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
real putting their money where the mouth is.
So I think both of them for them it's like, oh, this is our baby. Like, yeah, we've got the guys who did The Wire to write it, so we know the quality's good. But this is our baby where we get to. This is our our footprint
Yeah,
on this.
definitely feels that way.
But we're just working out. They're both putting in good performances, and we're getting good TV out of it. So I'm not going to complain.
Definitely. Can't help but say this is some great TV, and obviously it's nice to know we've got a season 2 coming.
Yes, the renewal's happened already.
Yeah, so we can get some long game on this. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm going to guess and say that they were fairly confident, and they kind of had their.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess there's like a 5-season plan for this, probably.
Yeah, it feels like nicely in that 4 to 6 range, doesn't it?
Yeah, and if they're doing 8 episodes a season, that's a very tight 5 seasons as well, because like, I mean that's what 30 episodes for the whole thing.
40.
40. You're right. 40. My math is terrible.
That was atrocious.
That was terrible, right? But like my point being is that's a very tight show. If it's only 40 episodes total, that's
Yeah, it's not that much, really, is it?
no, and that's cool. That's exciting. So. I am So no, episode 3. I think out of the 3 so far, this one might have been the least exciting on its own. But
yeah,
it works
because everything was just okay. Here's more of this. Here's the continuation,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have any big standout moments.
The big standout moment I think was Candy getting scared of Mike. Like that was the moment for me. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is something really different from what we've had so far. Whereas the rest of it was like, yeah, it was more of the plots we'd already set up. But that's not a negative against it. It's just.
I think it's really notable there that the big moment for you was one of the few moments with the brand new character for this episode as well. It was something new rather than a continuation of anything.
Yeah. That said, I am excited about where everything else is going now. Now that we've set things up, and
Me too.
yes, and I'm convinced that Frankie's going to screw everything up for Vincent. He's going to drag him down by pissing off the wrong person. I can sense it coming.
Yeah.
So that is the Deuce episode 3. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at @mailed_fuzz for channel updates if you want to do that. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?